Hey, what's going on everyone? Supreme Kami here, and today I'll be doing an extensive review of these two units up here, Gundam 00 Sky as well as Crossmo X1 Full Cloth. So we're going to be doing some ranking of these units or these parts compared to relatives of Sokai's or some other festival parts. So the disclaimer, this video will be a little bit longer than usual, probably in between 20 to 25, because I am comparing them to like a lot of different parts. So I will in the description leave all the timestamp to like the head, to like the weapon of all these ones, so you guys, depending on which one you pull, you can just click on that timestamp to just see, oh, do I want to alternate this one, or is this part good or not? So I do have on the side another app. This is called GBM Info. So I was watching another YouTuber recently, and he was using this app. As you guys can see, it is in Chinese. So if you guys do want to download it as well, I'll leave that down in the description as well. So most of these parts I do have translated already. So we're gonna first start off with the Gundam double heads, the Sky over here. Max out the stats. So excuse me. So a stat over here on base melee attack. So keep that in mind when I compare what is from the app over here on the left hand side. These are in factor of the change gear, the 30% change gear. So a base melee attack, we're looking at 2836. So if you pair that up with a change gear, you're looking at 4264. So that will place this head right in between the T type Shining Gundam, which is the Build Project Shining Gundam, right between the God Gundam alternation. So this is a pretty decent head. If you guys are doing some melee build, this one will be definitely a must-have if you guys don't have the Shining Gundam, the T type Shining Gundam. So get double the heads, and then you can subslot another one of these head for 30.5% parameter up for that subslot. So let's take a look at the portrait to see does it just spot to alternate this head. So when buff EX skill boosted by 30% with power attribute, EX skill pierce boosted by 28%. I don't really like the piercing part about that. Excuse me. So the top part is gonna be good. You're gonna get a EX skill power buff. That's always nice. So I'm wary about the piercing part about that, but nonetheless, this is a good head for a melee build. So you can probably, if you guys can find a double Vortex that fits this one perfectly, you still get a 20.5%. But obviously, pairing two of these heads will give you the most boost. So Vortex is gonna be phenomenal for melee build with a Project and Gundam type. So up next, I'll switch over to the chest. So can't really do it simultaneously, so I have to do that one at a time over here. If there are ads popping up, I'll black out the left hand screen just a sec, so I don't want to show the the ads. So the head will be a rank 2, so for the chest will be a rank 8. So you guys can see the Shining Gundam T-type is still holding up pretty good. I don't know what is the second place over here, but the third one we have a Night Unicorn, the beast mode. That is, I think, was it last week? It was either last week or a week ago. It was 2 weeks ago. This was the festival, the Gundam Festival banner unit. Obviously, fourth place with the God Gundam. We're not looking into this one, the blue chest one, because this is a head and chest. So this one is a reference as Stray Red Dragon, a Stray Red Dragon. This one is Transient Gundam, so it will just fall right between F91 and then Gundam Kumara's Vidar. So this one is still a pretty good chest nonetheless. If we take a look at the portrait over here, portrait, while Protect is active, one melee power boost by 30%, so that's good. When one enemy is shut down, melee power boosted by 35%. So this is still a pretty good trait. The one enemy down, if you are doing like a 1v1, obviously you can't activate that because you just finished off that one enemy. But other than that, doing multi missions and all that, this would be a pretty good prerequisite. Just take down one enemy and you're good to go. Okay, now moving on. Let me go back to the word tag real quick. The word tag is good. Pretty self-explanatory. This is good for a melee build, of course. So the chest the head and chest is like good for alternation in my opinion. So do let me know that down in the comment section. If you guys do prefer something else, do let me know that as well. So moving on to the arm over here. Let me just go to the arm. Okay, so the arm, we will not look at the one that is paired up with the shield obviously. So the arm is rank 8 as well in terms of just the normal arm without the shield. So obviously the Shining Gundam is still leading. Then moving down a little bit, we have the Transient Gundam 2nd. We have the Barbados Lupus 3rd. We have the Night Unicorn Beast Mode at 4th. Kamaras Vidar 5th. The Justice Gundam Alternation, God Gundam coming up to that. So this one will be, so okay, let me just give out the stat real quick. So at max with gear, the gear and the 30% gear change gear in effect, we're looking at 10,476. So that will come in right between the God Gundam and the Full Armor Unicorn non-alternated. Obviously we're not looking at that, but it'll come in between the alternate the arm with the Sasabi down there over here. So 8 plays is not too good obviously, because we have better option. Like up here we have Gundam Kamaras Vidar, but obviously the War Tag is a high firepower and heavy armor. But you do have some better option up here like Lupus Rex, Transient Gundam, so those are pretty good option as well. Because this one does have an EX skill, so if you put this one as like your main build, you're not going to be getting that portrait, which I think most people nowadays do like a 8, if possible, do like a full 18 slot portrait and then use a skin. So this one will just be a fodder for a skin, obviously. I'm not bashing on the EX skill obviously, but most build nowadays geared towards having a close up to like an 18 portrait build plus the skin. So this one would be a pretty good option for a skin as well. The EX skill is looking at a D Pierce A- power. Obviously I don't have this one, but obviously these EX skill are pretty good with post alternation. You also do raise your defense by 29%, so that is pretty good. Good War Tag, Pro Tag, and high mobility, pretty justified for alternation as well. Moving on to the leg. Okay, moving on to the leg. Let me do switch over here. Leg part. Okay, so moving on to the leg, I'm not really gonna scroll down because we can just take a look on here on the left. I'm not gonna scroll on the left hand side because as you guys can see, the melee stat is gonna be really significantly lower than any of the top 5 over here. So let me go back over here. So the leg at max comes in at 2,775 with the change gears, so that is not even on the top 20. So we do have an EX skill over here, A+ and B+ over here. So I do own this EX skill and I have tried out. So this one does kind of like a left hand kick. How to say, a counterclockwise left hand kick, if that even makes sense. Like what is it? It shoots a beam, like a beam shot over here, diver shot. So this one is pretty good. Does like a wide angle damage. So this one will be able to KO multiple enemy at a time. So this one can be a good option, but obviously you guys there are a lot of better EX skill than this one. So this one I will probably hold off for alternation. Even a shot attack is not too amazingly high, so this one would be in my opinion, a no for alternation. Moving on to the backpack, seemingly probably the best part of this unit. So let's see the backpack real quick over here as well. Backpack wise, okay, so backpack wise we are looking at a rank 8, so 8 plays overall. So base melee attack we're looking at 3279. At max with change gear we're looking at 4655, so that will place you. We have Shining Gundam on top again, Lupus Rex, God Gundam, the Night Unicorn, F91. I don't know what this one is. Transient Gundam, and then right over here, just right and right on top of Red Dragon, and right below Transient Gundam. So it's pretty good, backpack you can say. Excuse me. Obviously there are better options up here, as you guys can see. A lot of them are recent festival unit or Sokai units, so a lot of choice. Like obviously A lot of people have pulled the backpack with the Lupus Rex. There you go. That's a pretty high stats. Look at the EX over here. What do you guys see? We have all those effects down there. This is like kind of like a mini cutscene EXQ. The power wise, you're looking at an A instead of an S. Obviously, that is the S power is tied to the cutscene EXQ, obviously. So you're gonna be doing it. I don't know if it's gonna be less damage overall, but probably not gonna be overall if you consider the cooldown time, because this one only 21 seconds, and then the full cutscene EXQ are like 79 seconds at cooldown. So you can probably reckon more damage overall, like in the full time period, you would say. So it would do a 48% health recovery, as well as a 39% up to your melee to your squad. So this one is the alternation. This one will be a good alternation. So I gotta say, it's good. Moving on to the beam saber over here, max everything up, and let me change it over here as well. So you guys can see a lot of these parts of the WO Sky are pretty good for alternation. So moving on to the beam saber, keep in mind this is a beam saber category. We're not looking at the swords, we're not looking at the double sabers and all that. So keep in mind this is only for the beam saber category. So at beam saber category, this is a rank 3 over here. As you guys can see, the top one is the sword for the Kamara's Radar, and then the F91 beam saber, and they will just be right over here. I don't know what sword beam saber this guy over here is, but this one will be a rank 3. So everything included, the change gear, we're looking at 10,885. Good amount, just a good amount to be placed in top 3 for beam saber category. So pretty good. So moving on to the beam saber, the last part for the double sky. Obviously this one will be a pretty good, really good part. So where is it? It will be right over here. Moving on to the beam rifle, this is the beam rifle category, or the rifle category. So the beam rifle at base, we're looking at 942. With max change gear, we're looking at 1791. So this one will be a rank 1 in terms of melee for rifle category. So you guys can see. Okay, so let's take a look at the portrait. While Gundam type is active, EXQ power boosted by 30%. Back part EXQ boosted by 35%. So this is a pretty decently worked portrait over here. So this one is another must-have alternation parts. so many. So Vortex gonna be Project and Gundam type, obviously. Pretty good, really good option for a Gundam WO Sky. Like a lot of these are top tier for alternation. Like you have the head, you have the beam rifle, you have the beam saber backpack. Really good choices. So right now we're gonna hop over, probably gonna make a little cut first, and then we'll hop back to the Crossbone X1 full cloth. Okay, now moving to the Crossbone X1 full cloth. So because of the nature of the Vortex and for the X1, we're going to be looking strictly for the melee build, because these Vortex are to satisfy the melee requirements. So I'm looking at shot build for this guy. It's not going to be a good option, obviously. On the stat, it's kind of like on the most of these stats are like in the mid range. Like they're good, they're higher than average, but they're not the highest. That even makes sense. So let's move on. Let's look at the head stuff now. So at base you have 2481, and then with the change gear we are looking at 2945. Obviously this one is significantly lower than the WO Sky, so this one would not even make it into the top 20. So the head is sad. One word, sad. And then let's look at the portrait to see does it justify that. So beam saber category, or saber category, excuse me, EXQ boosted by 30%, so that's pretty good, obviously, right? And then arm portrait EXQ boosted by 35%. So this one is gonna be depends on you. If you guys did pull the head, do you feel like these EXQ are good for you? Not EXQ, excuse me, portrait are good for you, or would you guys rather have some higher power, like higher stats like the WO Sky, for example? That is something significantly higher, but the portrait is a little bit more underwhelming compared to this one. Like by no means this is really powerful. Like I like this part trait a lot better, obviously, but we're losing out on some stat, obviously. We're looking at close combat and high firepower. So this one, nonetheless, is still a pretty top choice alternation parts, but obviously being less than top 20, there are obviously a lot more better parts to pick from. So this one, I have to say it, this one will be a skip in my opinion. So now moving on to the chest over here, max out everything and then change it on the left hand side as well. Chest. So chest also suffers from the same problem. So the chest, obviously, as you guys can see, is pretty well balanced. Both offense stats are similar, defense as well. Excuse me. So if we do take a look at the stat for the melee stat over here, 3304, and if you add that with the change script, we're looking at 4040. So this one does come in around rank 15 or so. So obviously there will be a lot more better parts to pick from. So let's take a look at the part trait over here. With rifle category equipped, melee power boosted by 30%, and then trait number 2, melee damage raised by 10%, EX skill power boosted by 35%. So obviously over here, these word tag are amazing pairs of part trait. So this one, it's good. Like I have to say it's good word tag, but so this one, I would obviously alternate this one. Even it's in the top 20. That I can't think of top of my head right now if there are any better EX part trait as of now, because these are pretty easy to satisfy. Obviously, you're not restricted to like T, P, or S typing, or you're not restricted like using out or in fighter and all that good stuff. So this one is a really versatile EX skill for alternation, I would say. Pretty good chest. The chest I'll go for alternation, obviously. Moving into the arm, max out everything and change it over here as well. Okay, moving on to the arm, obviously there are a lot of options for the arm. So let's talk about the stat at base, not base, but without pre change gear. We're looking at 8968. So if you pair that up with the change gear, we're looking at 9423. Obviously this fell short on all these major good parts, so you guys can see on the left hand side. Obviously there will be better parts to pick from. This one does even make it into the top 20 again. This one would be a good alternation because this one is a cutscene EX skill. So this one will be pretty good. It will be a pretty good option for your skin. Obviously, gonna be doing a D to a S power, D pierce S power. So this one is a powerhouse nonetheless. We can take a look at the effects. Ratio melee of your attack of your squad up by 39%. Melee defense 19%, as well as beam resistant by 29%. So this one, in my prediction video, I did know that there's gonna be some kind of like defense up or whatnot. I thought it was gonna be over here for the on the parameter, the stats, but they did it for the effects. Okay. So this one would be a good alternation for the cutscene EX skill, obviously. Now moving on to the leg is another cutscene EX skill. So let me switch it up over here for the leg. Okay. Moving on to the leg. Let me say that the leg is on the top 9. So this one, obviously, like I said, there are better options, but this one will be a good option for alternation because you can put this on your skin for that cutscene EX skill. This cutscene EX skill, let's talk about the stat first. So at base, we're looking at 3307. With the change gear, we are looking at 4156. So it's a pretty above average number up here, top 9. So obviously rank 1 over here is going to be 007 sword, coming in at 4969. So we are a bit out, but like it's still pretty good for that cutscene EX skill, I would say. So word tag is going to be close combat and high mobility. So all these word tag are geared toward melee builds, so it's a good option. So moving on to the cutscene EX skill over here, it's going to be a D pierce and S power again. This one is the health restoration is up by 68%. What? That's a lot. But it's gonna raise the effects over here for the melee attack up. It's gonna be only 24%, so a little bit lower, but it's something though. It's definitely something. Moving on to the backpack over here. Backpack, change it over here as well. Backpack. So backpack, we are looking at max out of stat. We are base, we're looking at 3311. At that with the change gear, we're looking at 4051. So this actually comes in at rank 18, top 18. So obviously there are better parts, even better portrait. If we do take a look at the portrait, we are looking at one enemy down, buff EXQ effect by 22%. Okay, and then when armor is 80% or less, melee power boosted by 35%. So this one are two really conditional portrait over here. One being that you need your armor to be less than 80%. So this is something hard to do already. You have to really take damage like initially to even activate that. So this one is not good for alternation by all means. Good word tag though, not gonna can't deny that, but the portrait, no. That's a no. So moving on to the melee weapon over here. This one is a Saber category. I would think this one is a sword category, but okay. This one is a Saber category, so let me change it up over here as well. Saber category. Okay, so this one being a base stat, looking at 10,674. So this one we're actually looking at a top 5, as you guys can see. Just a few off from the double sky actually. So this one pretty good. Excuse me. So this one is a pretty good alternation part as well, but you do have a EX skill over here, so this one might hinder some what is it, portrait, I would say. So this comes in at a D pierce and A minus, pretty short cooldown as well. No effects down here. Vortex is still pretty good, close combat and high firepower, so you can obviously stick that into like your melee or to your shot build, because this offer is smash up shot attack stat gain over there. Moving on to our last two weapons, they're both in the rifle category. Both are on the same stat, so they'll be evenly a match. It will just be depends, do you want like a portrait or do you want an EX skill? And then okay, so this one does pack some melee stat. That's why they'll be at top 4, coming in at 953. So this one would be a pretty good option. I'll say probably this one is a good one, because when you have Saber category equipped, initial EX skill charge boosted by 20%. So this is a pretty important portrait. I would say you want to dash out your EX skill like as fast as possible, so this one would be a pretty good option. And then while high firepower is active, EX skill boosts by 35%, pretty good. So this one you can actually stick that into like either build, melee or range build, because these two effects are pretty easily activated. So this one, the portrait one, is going to be a pretty good option. So moving on to this one, the last weapon over here. So same stats, so this one will still come in at rank 4, but this one comes with the EX skill and with a different pair of Orteg, replacing with high mobility. Okay, so this one's gonna be one of those longer type EX skill, longer cooldown, but we're looking at A pierce and B plus power. So I do have this one, so I'll do like a part review to see if the range is good, how good is the damage, and you know, I think overall it just shoot like a raw beam straight across the board. So it's pretty normal stuff, right? But this one is a longer cooldown, so I don't know, this one will be a pretty good option. I think the other rifle is a little bit more better because of the portrait, good portrait. So here you guys go. Here's the full review, rankings and all that, so you guys can see okay what other better option there is to get if you guys don't alternate these parts and whatnot. Obviously the crossbone doesn't really have, I wouldn't recommend a lot of these parts. The EXQ, the cutscene EXQ obviously would be a top choice to alternate. So probably is this rifle over here. Probably these four, the arm, leg, and maybe not the chest, arm, leg, this one over here, and this melee weapon, as well as this one. Pretty good choice for alternation, I would say. But other than that, for Double Sky, a lot of good choices to pick from. If you guys can, I will just alternate everything, just simple as that. But I know resources are scarce, so that's why I make this video, so you guys can make your own a good choice of like, okay, which one I want to upgrade. You know, so yeah, with that being said, hopefully you guys do enjoy these kind of longer extensive review to see which one is a good part to pick up. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. So the next video upcoming is probably gonna be my last summoning video, so stay tuned for that.